contract decision sitting on Rob Pelinka's desk right now carries more weight than any single document should reasonably hold, because the signature that appears or doesn't appear on that piece of paper will echo through Lakers history in ways that extend far beyond basketball statistics or salary cap implications. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, your ultimate destination for comprehensive Los Angeles Lakers coverage, breaking news, insider perspectives, and everything you need to stay completely connected with our beloved franchise as we navigate one of the most fascinating and scrutinized seasons in recent memory. I'm bringing you critical information today about a contractual situation that has everyone from Crypto.com arena to league offices across the country watching intensely. A scenario involving the most famous rookie in basketball whose last name carries expectations that would crush most 20-year-olds, but who's handling the pressure with remarkable maturity and focus. The implications of what I'm about to break down extend well beyond one player's development trajectory because this situation touches on legacy, family dynamics, organizational strategy, salary cap management, and the fundamental question of how you build championship rosters when extraordinary circumstances collide with traditional basketball operations. Let me take you inside the contractual framework that's governing Bronny James's first season as a professional basketball player, because understanding the technical details of his current deal is absolutely essential for grasping why the decisions the Lakers face in the coming months are so complex and consequential. Bronny signed a two-way contract with the Lakers after being selected in the second round of the 2024 NBA Draft, a contract structure that allows him to spend time with both the Lakers' NBA roster and their G League affiliate, the South Bay Lakers. Two-way contracts are specifically designed for player development, giving young prospects the opportunity to get significant playing time in the G League, where they can work on their game in competitive situations while also being available to the NBA team when needed for practices, spot minutes, or injury replacement situations. The financial terms of Bronny's two-way deal pay him approximately half of the NBA rookie minimum salary, which for a second-round pick works out to around $500,000 for the season, a significant amount of money for anyone, but obviously modest by NBA standards, where maximum contracts exceed $50 million annually. The structure of Bronny's current situation allows him to spend up to 50 games with the South Bay Lakers in the G League while being on the Lakers' active roster for the remainder of the season, though the team has significant flexibility in how they deploy him between the two levels. So far this season, we've seen Bronny split his time between both teams in a pattern that suggests the Lakers are being extremely deliberate about his development rather than rushing him into NBA action before he's ready. He's appeared in select Lakers games, mostly in garbage time situations where the pressure is lower and he can get his feet wet at the NBA level without being thrown into high-stakes competitive situations where mistakes could damage his confidence. The bulk of his playing time has come with South Bay, where he's gotten consistent minutes, handled the ball in pick-and-roll situations, defended opposing guards full court for entire games, and generally received the kind of developmental runway that you simply can't provide to a player at the NBA level when every game matters and rotations are tight. The performance data from Bronny's G League stint tells a story of gradual adjustment and incremental improvement. Exactly what you'd hope to see from a young player who came into professional basketball with significant question marks about his offensive game. Through his first 25 G League games, Bronny is averaging approximately 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists per contest, while shooting around 42% from the field and 31% from three-point range. Those numbers aren't going to blow anyone away, and critics have certainly pointed to them as evidence that Bronny isn't an NBA-caliber talent who earned his roster spot through merit rather than nepotism. But contexting those statistics properly requires understanding what Bronny's role has been in South Bay and what skills he's been asked to develop. He's not being used as a primary scorer who gets plays called for him and touches the ball on every possession. He's functioning as a secondary ball handler and defensive specialist who's learning to make quick decisions, defend multiple positions, and fit into team concepts rather than dominating individual matchups through raw talent. The defensive metrics from Bronny's G League time are actually quite encouraging and suggest that his pathway to NBA minutes will likely come through that end of the floor first before his offense catches up. He's shown the ability to guard quicker point guards on the perimeter while also having enough size and strength at 6'2" to switch onto bigger shooting guards when schemes require it. His lateral quickness is genuine, allowing him to stay in front of ball handlers without getting beat off the dribble consistently. His effort level is consistently high, competing on every possession rather than taking plays off or losing focus when his man doesn't have the ball. And perhaps most importantly for projecting his NBA viability, he's shown basketball IQ on the defensive end, reading passing lanes, communicating rotations to teammates, and understanding help defense responsibilities that many young players struggle to grasp. Those defensive fundamentals are precisely what NBA teams value from role players, because you can teach offensive concepts and skills over time, but you can't teach compete level and defensive awareness if a player doesn't naturally possess them. Now here's where the contractual situation becomes fascinating and carries massive implications for both Bronny's future and potentially his father's future with the Lakers organization. Two-way contracts by rule can only last for 2 seasons, maximum, after which a player must either be converted to a standard NBA contract, released, or signed to a new deal under different terms. Bronny's current two-way expires at the end of the season, which means Rob Pelinka and the Lakers management must make a decision before the summer about how they want to proceed with his development. They essentially have 3 options, each with distinct implications. Option 1 is converting Bronny to a standard NBA contract, which would make him a full member of the Lakers' 15-man roster with all the salary and roster spot commitments that entails. Option 2 is offering him another two-way contract for next season, which would give him 1 more year of flexible development time split between the Lakers and South Bay. Option 3 is declining to offer any contract and making him a free agent, though this option seems extremely unlikely given the family dynamics and the public relations implications of cutting LeBron James's son after 1 season. The decision about Bronny's contract is complicated by factors that extend far beyond just evaluating his basketball development. And honestly, this is where being a Lakers fan becomes fascinating, because you're watching organizational dynamics play out in real time that would never be visible with any other franchise in any other situation. LeBron James is currently in the final guaranteed year of his contract with the Lakers, with a player option for next season that gives him complete control over whether he returns or becomes a free agent. LeBron has made it abundantly clear throughout his career that playing with his son in the NBA is a personal goal that matters deeply to him, to the point where it influenced his decision to stay with the Lakers rather than exploring other options when his previous contract was expiring. The historic moment when LeBron and Bronny shared the court together during a preseason game, becoming the first father-son duo to play together in NBA history, was one of the most emotionally resonant moments in recent sports history, transcending basketball and touching on themes of family, legacy, and the passage of time that resonated with fans worldwide. The question facing the Lakers is whether Bronny's development timeline and LeBron's remaining career timeline can continue to align in a way that serves both the player's best interests and the franchise's championship aspirations. Converting Bronny to a standard contract would signal the organization's commitment to his long-term future with the team and potentially influence LeBron's decision about exercising his player option for next season. But it would also commit a valuable roster spot and approximately $2 to $3 million in salary cap space to a player who, by most objective evaluations, isn't ready to contribute meaningful NBA minutes in playoff situations. Offering Bronny another two-way contract would provide additional development runway without the roster commitment, but it might send a message that the Lakers aren't fully confident in his NBA readiness, which could create tension given the family dynamics at play. The organization finds itself in the delicate position of needing to make basketball decisions that can't be separated from family considerations and public perception in ways that simply don't apply to any other player in the league. Rob Pelinka and the Lakers basketball operations staff are notoriously tight-lipped about internal deliberations on roster matters. So, getting concrete information about how they're evaluating Bronny's contract situation requires reading between the lines of what coaches and executives say publicly. J.J. Redick has been consistently complimentary of Bronny's work ethic and coachability, emphasizing that he approaches every practice and film session with professionalism and genuine desire to improve. Redick has also been careful not to overpromise about Bronny's NBA future, noting that development is a marathon rather than a sprint, and that the organization is committed to putting him in positions to succeed rather than rushing him into situations where he's overmatched. Those comments suggest the coaching staff sees legitimate potential in Bronny, but recognizes he needs continued development time before being thrust into significant NBA rotation minutes. LeBron himself has navigated media questions about Bronny's situation with remarkable diplomacy, consistently emphasizing that he wants what's best for his son's career development rather than forcing organizational decisions based on family preferences. In several recent interviews, LeBron has stated that Bronny should earn every opportunity through his performance and work, rather than receiving special treatment because of his last name. Those statements are clearly intended to deflect accusations of nepotism while maintaining the narrative that Bronny's Lakers career is legitimate rather than manufactured. But LeBron's comments can also be read as applying subtle pressure on the organization by publicly stating his support for merit-based decisions, knowing that if Bronny's contract isn't extended, it will create headlines questioning whether the Lakers properly developed him or whether family dynamics influenced a negative outcome. The broader context of the Lakers' current roster construction adds another layer of complexity to the Bronny contract decision because the team is simultaneously trying to maximize LeBron's remaining championship windows while also building for a future that will inevitably exist without him. The Lakers currently sit in the middle of the Western Conference playoff picture, competitive enough to make the postseason, but not dominant enough to be considered true championship contenders alongside teams like Denver, Phoenix, and the L.A. Clippers. Anthony Davis remains the franchise cornerstone who will anchor the team long after LeBron retires, but the supporting cast around AD needs continued upgrading to truly compete with the West's elite. The Lakers have limited financial flexibility due to being over the salary cap, which means every roster spot and every dollar of cap space matters significantly more than it would for teams operating below the cap with room to add talent through free agency. Using a roster spot and $2 to $3 million in cap space on Bronny's standard contract would represent a real opportunity cost in terms of other players the Lakers could potentially sign or trade for if that spot and money were available. The NBA's collective bargaining agreement includes specific restrictions on teams over the salary cap, limiting them to minimum contracts and mid-level exceptions when adding players, which means the Lakers can't just go out and sign whoever they want regardless of cost. Every decision about roster construction involves trade-offs between competing priorities, win-now moves that help LeBron's championship chase versus long-term investments in young talent, expensive veterans who provide reliable production versus developmental players who might eventually become valuable rotation pieces, and proven commodities versus high-upside gambles. The Bronny situation exists at the intersection of all these competing considerations, making it uniquely complicated in ways that go beyond simple basketball evaluation. There's also the public relations and fan base management dimension that organizations like the Lakers must consider, even though it shouldn't theoretically influence basketball decisions. The Lakers are the most visible franchise in basketball, playing in the media capital of the world with a fan base that scrutinizes every roster move through multiple lenses simultaneously. Cutting Bronny or declining to extend his contract would generate massive media coverage and fan reaction, with some celebrating it as a sign that the Lakers are making ruthless basketball decisions, while others criticize it as disrespecting LeBron James and damaging the franchise's relationship with its greatest living legend. Season ticket holders have opinions about whether Bronny deserves a roster spot. Casual fans who don't follow the G League closely have opinions. National media personalities who need content have opinions. Managing all those constituencies while trying to make optimal basketball decisions is part of running a Lakers franchise in a way that it simply isn't for small market teams operating outside the spotlight. My personal belief, and I want to be clear, this is speculation based on reading the tea leaves rather than inside information, is that the Lakers will offer Bronny a second two-way contract for next season rather than converting him to a standard deal immediately. This approach threads the needle between multiple competing interests by giving Bronny another year of development runway, maintaining flexibility for roster construction and cap management, keeping LeBron happy by demonstrating continued commitment to his son's career, and providing an off-ramp if Bronny's development doesn't progress to the point where a standard contract makes basketball sense. A second two-way keeps Bronny in the organization and eligible for NBA minutes without committing a valuable roster spot that could be used for a player who's definitively ready to contribute in playoff situations. Lakers Nation, here's where I need to hear directly from all of you about this complex situation, because fan perspectives on the Bronny contract decision are genuinely all over the map, and there are legitimate arguments on multiple sides. His current two-way contract expires after this season, requiring Rob Pelinka and Lakers management to decide whether to convert him to a standard deal, offer another two-way, or part ways entirely. Based on Bronny's developmental trajectory in the G League, showing defensive potential and gradual offensive improvement while getting consistent minutes in South Bay, combined with the organizational benefits of maintaining LeBron's happiness and keeping the historic father-son storyline alive, my expectation is that the Lakers will offer a second two-way contract that provides additional development runway without committing a valuable roster spot. This approach allows Bronny to continue progressing at his own pace while giving the organization flexibility to make ruthless basketball decisions if his development doesn't meet NBA standards over the next year. As Lakers fans, we should be encouraged that our organization is thinking long-term about player development rather than making short-sighted decisions based purely on headlines, because sustainable championship contention requires building depth through player development rather than just acquiring expensive veterans. Make sure you're subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report if you haven't already, and smash that notification bell so you never miss critical updates about roster decisions, contract situations, and all the moves that will shape this franchise's future. Share this video with fellow Lakers fans because understanding the complexities behind decisions like Bronny's contract situation is essential for appreciating how modern NBA franchises operate. I'll be back with more in-depth coverage as the offseason approaches and these contract decisions start getting finalized. Until then, let's go Lakers, and let's trust that Rob Pelinka and our front office continue making smart decisions that keep us competitive while building for sustained success.